Alright, this is the Budyonny. This is our Russian Tier 6 cruiser. I've got her outfitted with some really cool camouflage. She is a lot of fun to play, but she does have a few weaknesses you need to be mindful of. We'll get into that as the battle progresses. But let's take a look at the armor layout on this ship. Let me clear out all the filters and bring up the citadel. Notice that part of the citadel is above the waterline with 115 millimeters of armor and 40 up top. That's not good to have your citadel above water. It makes it easier to hit. So broadside on, it's easy to get hit. On top of that, you've got 19 and 13 millimeters of armor. And then on top of that, you've got your standard 10 millimeters of armor. And we'll put on some plating here. Those don't really do much for the citadel. They're only 13 millimeters. And of course, your turrets are pretty heavily armored at 75 or more. So she's a little soft, especially broadside. You really don't want to be broadside. And her torpedoes, which are only good for 4 kilometers, 1 launcher per side, each launcher with 3 torpedoes, is pretty much last-ditch self-defense only. Whoops, wrong button. Back to game. So let's go ahead and get into a battle, and we'll talk a bit more about the Budyonny. Her armor, our hit points, 25,800, is the lowest of all Tier 6 ships, or cruisers, cruisers. So with the exposed citadel and the lowest hit points, you're going to find yourself getting into trouble early on in the fight. But if you can get past the initial hit that you're going to meet up with, or you're going to have with your enemies early on in the battle, you should do fairly well. You can see I spawned way over by A. There's a destroyer and a cruiser, and if either one of those guys heads off to A, I'll head off to A. But you definitely don't want to go it alone in this ship when you don't know what kind of enemies are out there. I've looked over the enemy list there. It's a real mix. The guns on the Budyonny, you've got 3 turrets, which are 3 guns of 150 millimeters, with a reload time of 6 seconds. That's the best reload time of any Tier 6 ship. And I have buffed that to get it at that fast reload rate. But believe me, it really makes this ship a lot of fun. Some of the other ships out there, like the Ioba, has a reload time of 11 seconds, and that's a Tier 6 too. Your high explosive ammo on a good hit will do 1,700 damage with an 8% chance of starting a fire, and your armor piercing on a good hit will do 3,900. Dispersion on the shots at max range is 136 meters. That's a little buffed. But the velocity on these guns is really impressive. 960 meters per second. Translated into English, that's 2,147 miles per hour. That's really screaming, which makes this ship really easy to snipe. You can hit them at range, which is where you want to stay. There is a cruiser behind me. He's decided to come with me, so okay, we'll go ahead and push up towards A. Again, this is not a ship you want to be the tip of the sword with, but with that little island at F2 that I'm headed towards, I should be able to duck behind that island and deflect some of the hits that are going to be coming my way. The speed is 35 knots, which is the fastest of any Tier 6 boat. And the rudder is only got a 9.7 second shift, so she's quite maneuverable, and you're definitely going to want to use that to your advantage. So my first couple salvos weren't that good, and I'm turning my rudder over, trying to get behind that island. You see that? I just lost, probably 7% of my health with just one hit from that boat. Okay, so I am behind the island. The guy behind me has sent torpedoes. I'm going to come around and go at him with my armor piercing, because he's more or less, he's halfway between broadside on and not. Oh, good. Those torpedoes came from our carrier. Right on. Good job. Now his guns are pointed away from me. I have a couple of minutes to maneuver because he's not pointing toward me. Okay, he will be in a second. So I need to start turning hard, and I am. And I took a hit, but there are my torps. Boom! Got him. Alright. So now we have a chance to breathe. I want to cap A. It's going to be an easy cap. Most of the activity is around B and C, so I'll start heading over there. The AA capabilities of the Budyonny are the lowest at Tier 6. So with the lowest AA and the lowest hit points and the poorest armor, what makes this ship fun is the fact that you've got to know how to maneuver her. Use that rudder, use that speed, and she's got an insane rate of fire. Really, just nuts. So I fire off some salvos at HE, or high explosive ammo, at an enemy battleship. That's the one you want to use, since these are only 150mm guns. AP is probably not going to do much at this range. Maybe I can set them on fire. But the aircraft carrier has just been spotted. I am the closest ship to it, and he's got nobody covering him. So I'm going after that carrier. I want to take that carrier down. Now, if he decides to come after me, I might be in a world of hurt, because my AA is just about the lowest at Tier 6. The detectability of this ship when you're not firing your guns is 13.1 kilometers, and your range is 16.5. Now that's when you're not firing your guns. Alright, so I'm firing high explosive at this guy. If I can set him on fire, he won't be able to launch his planes. And he was set on fire, and he put it out, which means he can't put out the next fire that I start, because he already used his ability to put fires out. At least it'll take him a couple of minutes before he'll be able to put those fires out with his fire extinguishing capability. Otherwise, he just has to let the crew do it on their own. So basically, he is alone out here with me. So he's on fire. He can't land his planes. And his planes are just circling now. Now I switched to high explosive, or armor piercing, because I want to see how the armor piercing does against his armor. And you saw only 1400 damage and a few ricochets. Bounced a few. That one I bounced 3, hit 2, and over-penetrated 1. So armor piercing is a bit of a mixed bag. Okay, only 1 penetrated and 8 bounced. Armor piercing is not the way to go, so I'm switching back to high explosive. Same thing on that salvo. 6 shells bounced, 1 penetrated. So I'm back to high explosive, and I do a lot more damage that way and start another fire. So basically, I'm just going to have to burn this guy down. A lot more damage with HE on that one. Wow, he was able to launch some planes. Okay, I'm going to press control and highlight those planes in the hopes that my guys will shoot them down. Okay, he's on fire again. So it's just a matter of time now before he's gone. And you can see I'm getting much better penetration. Any second now. Okay, he's gone. Alright, so looking around, there's a battleship off south. Looks like a battleship and a cruiser. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can land a few hits on this guy. High explosive. I probably should have given him more lead. And the enemy is still sending airplanes all around me. So I'm going to go ahead and activate letter T, which is to put my anti-aircraft people on high alert. Maybe I'll get a couple more planes shot down. But you notice that I am not the tip of the spear anymore. You don't want to be the tip of the spear in the Budyonny. Not with that armor. Best thing you can do is hold back just a bit and use your massive rate of fire. That doesn't always happen that way. Like on this game, I was able to hide behind an island. And wow, I'm lobbing shells and scoring hits. Oh, sorry about the lag on the game replay and on the sound. I've still got a lousy mic. I'll get around to fixing that sooner or later. But this guy's going to pop out on the side of that little island at E8. And I've got high explosive loaded. I probably could go armor piercing considering he's broadside on. Okay, I am turning over because, yep, he just took out my torpedo turret. And he actually did quite a bit of damage there. Okay, he's gone. You want to try and keep your nose or your stern angled toward your enemy because you don't want to expose your broadside. Now, high explosive on a destroyer is pretty much a given, no matter what the circumstance. There might be some circumstances where you don't, but for most cases, always use high explosive at destroyers. AP is just going to overpenetrate. Okay, he's gone. So that leaves just one cruiser. Now he's actually turning to his left. He's keeping this island between himself and me, but he's got two battleships going after him. Plus our carrier is torpedo launching at him. He's not going to last very long at all. And I'm not going to be able to get around this island fast enough to do anything to him. So I might as well try and get some points some other way. Camping C.
Our victory is in sight.
Oh, I'm going to try and cap C, but he's actually going to die before I get there. So I'm going to just jump ahead. Shot down a plane, that's nice. Alright. So let's take a look at our post-screen results. Notice that I scored 166 hits. Of those, 89 penetrated, 36 did not, and 5 overpenned, and 36 ricocheted. When you see overpens and ricochets, when you see these numbers getting higher and higher, it should serve as an indicator to you that you need to go to HE shells instead of armor piercing. That's just something to bear in mind as you learn how battles unfold. Also scored some torpedo hits, shot down some planes, sunk 3. It's always nice to take a look at those and see how you're doing. Let's get a little bit ahead here. Team score. Team score. Okay, we got top score. That's always nice. Detailed report. Take a look at the Saipan, and you'll see I fired 75 high explosive shots at him. Actually, yeah, I landed 75 hits and did 23,265 and I landed 32 armor-piercing shells and only did 6,000. If you crunch the numbers, you'll find that high explosive was definitely the way to go when you are in a Budyonny going up against a Saipan. The armor-piercing shells were just bouncing too much. They got too much armor. On the Molotov, I just fired high explosive, but shot down one of his planes. The Minakaze, all I did was high explosive. On the enemy Budyonny, I landed 7 high explosive shells for 5,082 in damage and landed 22 AP shells for only 3,000. So once again, if you do the math, high explosive shells was the way to go when you're in a Budyonny shooting against a Budyonny. And the Congo, I think I scored a couple of little hits on. Yeah, 9, not much. So let's take a look at credits and XP. Scored 95,289 silver and was able to keep out of that 72,644, which is pretty good. Pretty good. There wasn't a lot spent on repair, service, and ammunition resupply, so the Budyonny can make you some money if you're careful with her. If you know how to play the Budyonny, she's a lot of fun. She puts out an awful lot of fire compared to the other Tier 6 cruisers. So, hey, thank you very much for watching. Enjoy and stay safe.